Hey guys, welcome back to another vlog. We are inside now and I'm going to be recommending my summer and springtime book recommendations, books that just scream this time of year. I filmed the whole thing, 20 plus minutes. I came in, started editing, and I said you can only hear the wind the whole time. So we're back in my reading room. I'm just going to do it in here and talk about my favorite summer, springtime book recommendations. When I think about reading in the summer, and summer is one of my favorite seasons to read. I love the vibes. I mean, it's sunny, it's warm out, but I aim towards more romance, contemporary romance, kind of short books, standalones, quick, simple reads. Not simple, but just quick reads that I can read on the beach, read on the plane, just read on any vacation, really. And these are the type of books that I'm going to be recommending today. And these are the books that I also associate because, like I said, I'm a mood reader. So when I think of these books, I just automatically think of summer and the vibes and the aesthetic and the nuances. So let's just get right into this. My first recommendation is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This book literally is summer in a book. It's a contemporary romance in the Maple Hills series. So her first book is Icebreaker, and I wouldn't recommend Icebreaker for summer because it takes place like during college wintertime hockey, but this book takes place at a summer camp. The love interests are summer camp like instructors. So this whole book takes place in this small town during a summer camp, and they fall in love during this summer. So it is quick, it's easy. I read this in a day. The book basically follows Aurora and Russ, and they kind of have a meeting. They kind of have a little thing before the summer camp, like at the end of the year, because they go to the same college, and they've never met until then. Then after that, they end up running into each other at a summer camp where they both realize they're both instructors, and they didn't realize they would run into each other. So there's already kind of that tension, and you know, they can't really be together, but they just can't deny the chemistry. And it's just about them falling in love during summer camp. So I highly recommend, if you want something short, sweet, little spice, I highly recommend Wildfire by Hannah Grace. Next, I chose Beach Read by Emily Henry. Beach Read, it's literally like, you can read it on the beach, pun intended. This book, 5 out of 5 stars. It is a standalone. Obviously, all Emily Henry's books are standalones. Her new book, Funny Story, actually just came out. I really need to go pick that up at Barnes & Noble. I probably will, like tomorrow. The book is about two writers, January and Augustus. Augustus kind of writes darker theme books, and January writes rom-com romance books. And they both are kind of having writer's block, and they find each other neighboring each other on this little beach town. They're neighbors, like on a beachfront houses, because they're both trying to get out of this writer's block that they both have, and they both challenge each other to kind of swap writing styles. So January writes something more serious, and he has to write a romance, and obviously through that you see them kind of falling in love with each other. And I think it's perfect. Literally, the title, like, if you're looking for something that's vibrant and beachy, but also is so like beautifully written, like Emily Henry, the way she writes is amazing. She is one of my most quotable authors. I love her dialogue. I love the inner monologue of her characters. So if you're looking for something anything like this, highly recommend Beach Read by Emily Henry. Next up, I am going to be recommending Never by Jessa Hastings. If this is your first video you've seen of me, you haven't heard me talk about this, but if you're coming back, you definitely know that I have been talking about Never by Jessa Hastings for a minute now. This book screams summer in a sense of it's a Peter Pan kind of retelling. So when you go to Neverland, like, you just think of summer and you're with the mermaids on the rocks and you're on the beach and the pirates and the sailing. It's summertime. So if you're looking for something a little bit more fantasy driven, summer-esque, if you're not really into rom-coms or contemporary romance and you love fantasy more, definitely pick up Never by Jessa Hastings. I think you will really like it. Jessa also is really good at writing nuances and aesthetic and like feeling it through her writing. So definitely highly recommend this for the spring or summertime. For the next book, I'm going to recommend the entirety of the Addicted Calloway Sister series, just because obviously you go through all the seasons throughout the book, but I read this during summertime, like 3 years ago now, 2021. I started reading it like May 2021, and it just, anytime I think about these books, I just associate with like the summer, late springtime, especially Reich and Daisy's book, Hot House Flower and Long Way Down. They're like the athletic, adventurous couple. They do mountain climbing, jumping cliffs, traveling, doing all those kind of things, swimming. So they're very much that adventurous summertime couple. So I highly recommend these books in general, but I think these are the perfect time to get into these is the summertime. I think it fits the vibe. It's perfect if, you know, you don't really want something that's directly on the beach or something like that. You just kind of want the vibe, the aesthetic. Definitely pick up Addicted to You. This is the first one, but if you really want to get it, the vibes, pick up Daisy and Reich's books. Okay, up next we have literally anything Elsie Silver has ever written, especially Heartless. I think Heartless is probably the most summertime, warm weather book in my opinion. All of her Chestnut Spring series, even Wild Love, which I just read recently. So Heartless I think is probably the most summertime feeling type of book. Also, all of these books are like interconnected standalones. You don't have to read Flawless and Heartless and then by order. I mean, that's how I like to read it, but you can pick up the third book and read the third book. You don't need to read the others to read this. This is Kate and Willa's book. It is a single dad nanny romance, and Willa is this bright redhead, big energy, big personality, and she comes to the town of Chestnut Springs, and she is to see her best friend, and her best friend's boyfriend, brother, owns a ranch and needs a nanny for his son. So she's like, oh, I'll do that for the summer. So there's lots of like barbecue and parties, and it takes place on a ranch, and there's cowboys and bull riders, and it's just a fun time. They're always wearing summer dresses, they're going out to bars. It's a fun time, okay? Chestnut Springs never disappoints to put me in a good mood. I always, when I just need something lighthearted and fun and quick, I escape to Chestnut Springs. Highly recommend. Then next up, I have the Knock 'Em Out series. I don't have the first one, which the first one has daisies on it, and it looks more summery than these two, but it takes place in Knock 'Em Out. It's the small town, what the small town is called, and they have barbecues. It's very similar to Chestnut Springs, but not really cowboy. One of the main adventures is like a cop. One of them owns the biggest bar in the town, and the other one is like a rich billionaire. I don't know. And these books are so good. They're the perfect romances. They're a little longer than usual romances, but they're so worth it. I highly recommend them. And if you just want something small town, because I associate small town with summertime. Like, come on, they have festivals. There's always those type of scenes in these books, and I eat it up every time. Like, it never gets old for me, ever. So definitely pick these up. This is the second one, and this is the third one, and they are written by Lucy Score. Okay, another fantasy romance recommendation for the summertime vibe is The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen. This is the second book, Traitor Queen. If you're, again, not really into contemporary romance, you're more into fantasy, these are quick fantasy books, but they are perfect. The kingdom that it takes place in is very nautical and off the coast. It's like protected by sharks, and there's like boats, and they're just around water a lot, and I associate that with spring and summertime. So I also read these during the summertime, and my mind just associates that book with this season. It's perfect. She's like a trained assassin, and she gets an arranged marriage with this man. He's going to be king of this nautical type kingdom, and she is basically going to kill him, but she ends up falling for him, and it's just the kind of complicated relationship, and like her being trained her whole life to do something and then getting there and not really being able to go through with it, and like how that plays out and how everything works out. I think these books are quick, they're easy, but they're so good. I think they're kind of underrated, so highly recommend these books. So that was everything for my physical recommendations. Now I'm going to go over, I only have like 4 books really to talk about that I don't have physical copies of. 2 I've talked about recently, and that is The Summer We Fell. It's literally in the title, The Summer We Fell. This is a girl who is dating a boy that's kind of safe for her. She kind of thinks she owes him because he got her out of a tough situation, and then she meets his best friend from college, and they seem to have way more chemistry. And there's a lot of, it's very complicated relationships, but they end up falling in love, and the guy is a surfer. There's a lot of surf scenes, they're on the beach a lot, lots of bonfires. So this is the perfect summer read if you're looking for something a little bit more angsty, a little bit more dramatic story. Definitely recommend this if that is more your vibe. Next up, we have Aggro. This is another kind of surfing book. This takes place in a surfing town, so like everyone surfs there. Even the main girl character, the guy character, there's surfing contests. The girl main character, her dad owns the like famous surf shop in the small town off the coast. But the really cool thing about this one is that it's kind of like a murder mystery suspense. So if that is more your vibe, but you also want summer vibes also. Next up is the entirety of the Eden series. The Eden series is so good. Again, this is interconnected standalone. You can read any book. You don't have to read it in order. You can look up the tropes of each book. Maybe you don't like the tropes of one book, you can pick up the other one. It's basically about this family, the Edens. They have a ranch in Montana, and it's about all the children. There's like 6 siblings, I'm pretty sure. I could be incorrect, 6, 7. So there's a lot of Eden siblings, and each of them have a book and how they fall in love with their counterpart, main character. I love them. They're really easy reads. They're not masterpieces. If you're just looking for something cute, fun, romantic, some of them are suspenseful, some of them are dramatic, but they're just a good time, and they take place in Montana, and the ranching and the horses and all this stuff, and them discovering themselves. Definitely recommend the Eden series by Debney Perry. And of course, I have to end it on The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. The TV show is out on Prime Video if you live under a rock. Just kidding. I'm Team Conrad over here. If you're Team Jeremiah, I'm gonna need you to click the X up there. I'm kidding. We're Team Conrad over here, Team Connie baby. It's okay, season two was for the Jara girls, that's fine. Season 3 is for us Conrad girlies. If you know, you know. This is the perfect summer book read. I read these when the first season came out when I moved to Florida. I remember the June I moved to Florida, so like what, 2022? I read the books and I watched the first season. When I tell you it changed, it altered my DNA. It was perfect for summer. I never felt so just like, it encapsulates what summer and like nostalgia it's just perfect. Basically it centers around these two best friends from college who one had 2 boys and the other had a boy and a girl, and during the summer they come to this house in this small town of Cousins Beach, and it's just the 2 best friends, and they take their children, the husbands stay home, and they spend the whole summer at Cousins Beach at this beach house. And Belly, the girl, she is in love with one of the brothers, Conrad. And the one summer she's turning 16, she kind of has this glow up. The summer I turned pretty, and it turns out maybe both brothers like her, and it's her discovering herself, but also discovering who she wants to be with and who, you know, all these complicated relationships. The show does kind of teeter off of some of the plot in the books, but otherwise it's pretty on point with what happens in the books. Just a couple things that they added in the show to make it more show worthy. If you haven't seen the show, it's amazing. You don't have to read the books, but I definitely recommend you reading the books. They are amazing and perfect for summer. Okay, that is everything that I recommend for you to read in the spring and summertime. I love this time of year. It's my second favorite. If you don't know, fall, Halloween, yeah. But summer is a close second. Maybe like first, maybe it's like hyphened in first. I don't know. It is the perfect time for you to just read on the beach, read on vacation. If these are your vibe, if this is something that you're into, definitely pick up one of these books. I promise they won't disappoint. That's it for my recommendations. Also wanted to talk about something that I want to start doing. I want to start making a reading journal to track all my reading habits throughout the year. I've seen a lot of booktubers and book talkers. They all make reading journals usually at the beginning of the year. So I'm probably going to be making mine late, but if that's something you're interested in seeing me do, and maybe me taking you along with me to like find the supplies, starting it, filling out the pages, how I set it up, if you're wanting to see that type of content from me, let me know down below. I would gladly do that. Like saving stuff and like saving little spreadsheets off for like inspiration that I want to do. I think it's something that will be super fun, and it'll help me track my reading habits, and I would love to do that. So maybe keep a lookout for that in the future. But that's everything I have today for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.